My name is Tina Motley, and I'm with Fig Tree Therapy. And today I am talking with Thecle Ebanks, who is a clinician at Fig Tree Therapy. And as a company, one of our biggest needs is marriages and families that are hurting and broken and really need help. And so out of this has birthed what we're calling covenant repair intensives. And this is really coming from a deeper place within Thecle as a Christian and as a therapist. And so today we're going to talk about what these even mean. So what is covenant repair?
Yes. So let me just back up a little bit, Tina, and just explain to the audience what a marriage intensive is.
Sure.
So marriage intensive is exactly what it sounds like. It's intense marriage counseling that's condensed within a shorter time than what traditional therapy would offer. So in traditional therapy, you're seeing a client weekly, and their progress can stretch over months, even years. And what happens in the intensive is that we actually put aside dedicated time where we work with a couple for a couple of hours, a day, 2 days, 3 days, as you'll see in this intensive. And we really get to the root of the issue. So this really allows us to slow down, right? Which is not, we don't always get that in weekly therapy. Yeah. So it really allows us to slow down and get to the deep root and understand what is going on in this relationship and start working towards solution.
Right. So why an intensive? You know, who would this be suited for versus weekly sessions?
Yes, that's a really good question. So intensives are for the couples who they're just having conflict, the same conflict over and over, same pattern of miscommunication. These are couples who are having deep trust and betrayal issues, couples that are disconnected over the years. They just either all of their arguments turn into fights, or they sometimes reach a point where they've stopped talking. Couples who are spiritually disconnected can also benefit from this. So a lot of our couples can. But you bring up a good point, because intensives aren't for everyone. Right. And there are times where we actually want a couple to slow down. A couple would benefit better from the weekly. So in those cases, we would encourage that, or even in situations where there's abuse. Right. Those couples are probably not a good fit for this format.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned there are 3 different intensives that you're offering.
Yes.
And so let's unpack that a little. So there's a 1-day intensive.
Yes.
There's a 2-day intensive, and there's a 3-day intensive.
Yes.
So tell us what that means and looks like, and who would be better suited for what.
Yes. So we understand that our couples may not have the time or resources to be able to invest into a 3-day intensive. So we offer even actually a half-day intensive for those couples. And in those sessions, we don't really get into the deep work, but we do teach the couples some tools, and we do pray, let's say, for instance, if that's important to the couple, and add the spiritual element, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So those are probably about 3 to 4 hours. Okay. And in our 1-day intensives, those are about 6 hours. And if you're having a couple who's struggling with communication, maybe something as simple as, or I shouldn't say as simple, something like extended family conflict, right? Those may be appropriate for 1 or 2-day intensives. Our 3-day intensives are for the betrayals. Those are really appropriate for those in situations where there's been trust that's been broken, because those have multiple layers. So the 3-day allows us to really just unpack and go through the issues.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Thecle, there's so much that I appreciate and love about you, but one is your genuine love for Jesus and your desire to put that at the forefront and what's the word I'm looking for? The power behind this entire intervention.
Yes.
So I want to know how you integrate Christian faith, but you're also clinically trained.
Yes.
So you're you're pulling from Gottman, you're pulling from EFT.
Yes.
So speak a little bit about your approach.
Yes.
How are you even looking at the problem, and then how are you looking at the treatment?
Yes. So, Tina, you are spot on in that Jesus has to be at the center of what we do. And, you know, not speaking negatively about how anyone else approaches marriage counseling, but I think that's one of the things, even as clinicians, that we've gotten away from, in where we look at marriage as my needs aren't met. So this person's needs aren't being met. That person's needs aren't being met. And our marriage will be great if you would just do what I want you to do. And that is not biblical, right? So one of the things is just to remind our couples, what is God's intent for marriage? Why did he create this beautiful gift? And what does he want to do in us as individuals and in us as a couple through this beautiful gift? So that's one of the things that we start out with our intensives, and just educating and talking with our couples about where are you in your walk with God, not just individually, but as a couple. What do you think the Lord wants accomplished through this union? So you talked about the integration of clinical and spiritual, which is really at the heart of what we do. And we don't believe that those two things are in competition with one another. They complement one another. Can't have one without the other. So we offer them the clinical tools. We teach them communication. We look at patterns. We look at attachment. We give them things that they can walk out of our office and be able to implement and use. But we can't just give that alone. So this is where we add in the spiritual piece. And again, the important question that I'm asking all my couples is, what is the spiritual purpose of this union? And these are where we go into the deeper layers. We introduce prayer. We talk about God's purpose for marriage. We look at marriage as not just an environment where I'm getting my needs met, but marriage is sacrificial, right? What does love mean? All right, what does that mean when I'm not getting my needs met, but I'm still tied to this. I'm still committed to this. So we do a blend of this because we're looking at treating the couple holistically,
Right.
Their emotional needs, their relational needs, and their spiritual needs.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So to start, let's say a couple is interested in there and they want to know how to move forward. So it begins with a pretty extensive assessment, right? So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the process.
Yes. So the first step would be to get a consultation just to ensure that this couple is a good fit for our program. And if they are, they will be sent assessment paperwork for them to complete. And this is where we're looking at their answers individually in terms of what's going on in their marriage. What are some of the goals that they want to accomplish in the 1, 2, or 3 days that we have together? And pulling from Gottman, pulling from EFT, pulling from biblical principles, and trying to find where all of those can intersect. Okay. And then we develop a treatment plan that's appropriate, and we present that to the couple.
Okay.
And we talk through that, and if they're in agreement and no changes need to be made, we start our interventions.
Okay. So let's just say you do the assessment and you decide, along with the couple, you would recommend a 3-day, let's just say.
Yes.
What does that mean? Do they come 3 days in a row? Is it?
Yes. So the 3 days are consecutive.
Okay.
They're approximately 6 to 7 hours per day. We do break. We do have a built-in break, and we also break as needed if it's clinically appropriate. So you're looking at a couple really being ready. Can you sit and do therapy for 6 to 7 hours?
Yeah.
Right? So, but yes, they are consecutive. And I would probably recommend, Tina, that after the intensive, maybe we take a day off from work.
Right.
Or 2, right? Give ourselves time to kind of just sit in all this knowledge that we've gained and this experience that we've had, because it truly is an experience, right? So yes, that's what a 3-day would look like.
Okay. And what are they walking away with? Are there any tangibles that they're walking away with?
Yes, so they're walking away with, again, specific tools on how to manage conflict, right? So an example of that would be, so for instance, one of the Gottman approaches would be ways to start up, if there's conflict, ways to bring up a conflict. So
Okay.
they're walking away with specific steps. So if we go back home and there's been a conflict that day, I don't have to call my therapist. I can pull from my own toolbox and and just follow the procedure and how to bring up a conflict. And so they're walking away with that. We're also giving them material to take home to be able to refer back to. Um, so yeah, they're walking away additionally with hopefully a sense of connection,
Okay.
connection with one another. We believe in restoration. We believe in marriage. And hopefully that's what they're walking away with hope and connection and some practical tools to be able to put some things in place.
Right. So these are designed for people who want reconciliation and restoration, not necessarily for couples who are at the end of the rope and ready to divorce. Speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, good question, Tina. So, one of the things that we require, or I should say, we do require it. We need both couples to be bought into the process from the beginning because we're going into deeply into the work. So, if you have one partner that has one foot out the door, that's decided they don't want to continue the marriage, an intensive probably wouldn't be a good fit for them, Tina.
Right.
So yes, we want the couple to be all in, so that when we do the work, we're able to get the results.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything you would want a couple that may be listening to this that's like, maybe this is for me? Is there anything you would want them to know about you?
Yes. So one of the things I'd like them to know is I've been there, Tina. I am married myself, married with children, which sometimes adds another layer of stress. Sorry, kids. But so I've been there. You're not the person that's coming alongside you in this intensive is one that knows what conflict management looks like and what sometimes going around in circles with your spouse looks like. Tina, I remember a time, this was early on in our marriage, and for the couples that are newlyweds and that are going through difficulty, I just want to tell you to hang in there. Those early stages are hard. And I remember early on in our marriage, we were having a lot of conflict because there were a lot of transitions at the time. We had young children, there were transitions in jobs, so we kept having the same arguments over and over. And this is distinct. I remember this was a period where my husband was away from work, so away from distractions. I had let go of some responsibilities that I was dealing with at the time, so I had more time. And we were able to talk and just slow down and talk through this conflict and try to figure out what is happening. And this actually allowed us to get to the root and to better understand, this is what this is about. So this has been very helpful for us as a couple. So as someone who has been in marriage, who's been on the other side when marriage has been frustrating, who's used, distraction-free space and knows how beautiful that is in bringing restoration, I understand. So one of the things that I want our couples to know is you're not just talking to someone who has the credentials, right? Who can read off, right? You're talking to someone who's experienced in marriage and also someone who's in touch with the Spirit of God, and make sure that, I'm aware of his presence in my sessions and with my clients and just leading into what the Lord may be wanting to do in our midst.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So logistically speaking, when a couple may be thinking about doing this, it's an investment. It's a time investment. It's a financial investment. It's not something that you're running after work to get to.
Right.
It's preparation and taking time off
Yes.
and really committing to the process.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there any other criteria, you feel people need to be made aware of?
Yes. Well, I think as with any investment, right? I mean, think about it as if you are preparing for a major medical procedure, right? What would you do in that instant, right? You'd probably make sure if you have children that your childcare needs are taken care of. You'd probably take time off work, right? You'd probably make sure the bills were paid ahead of time in
Right.
case you had a bill that was due. You do all the preparations.
Right.
And I think that's what our couples, that's how I would like them to look at this. This is an investment into your marriage. And, Tina, one of the things that I just really want to highlight, I want to just jump back really quick, just regarding marriage and what I've seen is, sometimes in working with individuals, we do a history and we look at their childhoods and we look at their parents. And we've seen that some of the dysfunction that are showing up in our adult life started in our childhood, in our homes, in what we've seen in our parents. So the impact of parents that are in constant conflict, that aren't getting along, that this is what's been modeled. So sometimes adults grow into that, and then they repeat these cycles
Right.
in their own marriages and in their own kids. So we believe that if we are able to get marriages to a place of healing, we're not just healing individuals, we're healing a system, we're healing future children,
Right.
and we're changing the template.
Right.
So that's how important this is. And I'm sorry, Tina, I
No,
got so caught up in that.
No, that was great.
That's
And I
my
mean,
train of thought.
we could go even deeper.
Yes.
And to say, you're pulling from attachment theories,
Absolutely.
which is how we love.
Absolutely.
How we love our partners, how we love
Yes,
our friends.
absolutely.
It's down to attachment.
Yes,
So
yes.
what's the role of that in your work?
Yes, and we do use attachment work and how we love. And I think it's so powerful when couples get insight into how, wow, okay, so this behavior that I've engaged in, this is tied to something else. I didn't know this. Yeah. And that revelation is powerful because we don't just reveal the information. Now we teach them how to work through that, right? If you're someone with an insecure attachment style, and let's say you are an avoider, right? And we discover that in our work. Well, one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to look at, what do you need to work on? Right. What do you need to work on to become more secure? So yes, Tina, it's pretty significant work that we're doing, and we're excited. Yeah. And we want to see our couples healed, restored, and their children being impacted by this work as well.
Yeah. Why covenant repair?
Wow, that's a really good question. Holy Spirit led. Okay. Holy Spirit led. Marriage is a covenant. It is the relationship that really resembles our relationship with Christ. That's what God used. Marriage is important to him. So that covenant, that reminder that it's not just about your need and my need. We made a commitment. And God has honored his commitment. So we encourage our couples, let's look at you honoring yours and what that looks like. We know it's hard, but we'll come alongside you in this journey. We're not going to leave you to figure this out on your own, right? So covenant comes from that commitment to God.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you would want listeners to know?
I'm excited, and I am looking forward to working with the couples. We've made our process pretty simple. There's a QR code that you can scan that'll give information on how to get started, schedule a consultation with us. We'll quickly assess if you're a good fit, and once that's done, we'll go ahead and send you the assessment paperwork. Be ready to complete that and schedule your first session. And just be ready, just be prepared. Set aside some time, right? Make those arrangements, remove those distractions, and just come prepared so we can help you get to your goalpost.
We are also offering 3-hour seminars for couples.
Yes.
Which is different than the intensives.
Yes.
So Who would that be appropriate for? And what does that even mean?
Yes. So a couple may hear about this intensive and may not be sure that they want to make this type of a commitment because we've talked about what it takes. So our seminars are actually one of the entry points to just learn about relationships. It's mainly psychoeducational, it's group based, and we just teach them tools. And if they find that, I like this, and they want to go a little bit deeper, then we offer our either half day, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day seminars. And those, of course, are much more exhaustive because the intensives, we have to remember, they're not a quick fix, Tina. They're really a deep reset of the relationship. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
Thank you, Thekla.
Yes.
And thank you guys for joining us. You can reach us at 804-239-7688 or visit our website. And we also have a QR you can scan. And you can get started as quickly as next week.
Yes.
So don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions about these intensives.